I decided that I'm going to upgrade my phone from the iPhone 8 Plus to the iPhone 11 Pro Max. It's actually been a while since I've upgraded this phone, and I'm pretty excited to see what the 11 Pro Max cameras can do. So I just need to get rid of this thing here. Whoa, and there you go. The iPhone 11 Pro Max, 3 cameras here. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. Oh, look at that. I mean, does a phone really need 3 cameras? Probably not. Recognizes my face, that's cool. So I'm gonna go take some photos with that. I'm gonna see how it does against the camera I normally shoot with, which is the Canon 5D Mark IV. So I'll see you out there. I had a ton of fun shooting these photos, and the iPhone 11 was actually really fun to shoot with. I took quite a few photos with both my camera and the phone, and I'm excited to see how the iPhone photos do when editing them in Lightroom. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll share with you guys some of my thoughts on how they compare between my camera and the phone. So let's get to editing. So here we have all of my favorite iPhone images that I took from last night pulled up. They've all been edited, and I actually edited them using my perfect portrait preset with some minor adjustments here and there. And let's start with what I didn't like about editing these photos. Now, first of all, there's not a ton of shadow save with these photos. And if you don't know what shadow save means, it's basically the ability to pull out detail from shadows when you're typically exposing for highlights. So let's take like this image for example. If I go over to my shadow slider and drag this all the way up and then zoom in here, you're gonna kind of see how much detail is still preserved when I move that slider. It does get a little bit kind of noisy. If I mess with the exposure here a little bit, let's see. Definitely not the best. There's not a ton of shadow save with the iPhone 11 Pro Max, but that's kind of to be expected. It's okay, but it's definitely not amazing. The next thing is, for a lot of photos, especially with portraits, like let's say this one here, I like to use an adjustment brush to sometimes bring out more details and sharpen what's in focus. So I've done that like right here where I've highlighted this area of alley, and I could barely bump the clarity up to 2. If I do any more than that, it starts to look really bad. You can't really sharpen these pixels without it looking like a painting or a cartoon. For some reason, iPhone images, the pixels are really soft. I mean, I'm so used to seeing pixels from my DSLR that are nice, like detailed pixels. Next, this is definitely to be expected, but the bokeh on my DSLR is far superior than any portrait mode. If we go through some of these here though, it's definitely not bad. Even on these, you can see some of this bokeh that's kind of emulated here. And the auto select around alley did pretty good, but compared to a DSLR, you're gonna get nice crisp bokeh circles, and these are a bit more kind of blurred out. That's just one thing that's kind of an inevitable, but if I'm trying to weigh the options between my camera, well, I'm definitely going to weigh that one. So those are the main things that I really didn't like about the iPhone images. Overall though, I was fairly impressed with these images. And as you can see, I was editing a lot of these in fairly low light. I mean, it was nighttime conditions, and if you've ever taken a photo with your phone at night, usually it looks like hot garbage. Like, you can easily tell it's been taken with a phone and it's not really usable. These, on the other hand, are pretty good, all things considered, and especially after a Lightroom edit. I can't complain with these. I'm fairly impressed with that. So it's got pretty good low light capabilities. The other thing that I really like is that the color depth on these images is really nice. I pretty much edited these images and my Canon images the same, and it took the editing quite well in terms of messing with this hue slider here and the saturation. I was able to easily do that, and the images responded well to color manipulation, which is always a huge plus. And I did feel like I was able to achieve some of the aesthetic that I like and that you might see on my Instagram. So again, the good thing about these iPhone images, they've got pretty decent low light capabilities, and as well the color depth is pretty good. Let's compare them to my Canon 5D4 images. And as you can see, these just have a little bit more detail, but they're actually almost kind of similar. If you go from like this image here to the iPhone shots here, just at a glance, those are like almost indistinguishable, which is pretty impressive. If you keep going through here though, you can definitely see there's going to be a bit more detail here with like around the eyes, and if I'm wanting to bring up this exposure a bit, you've got quite a bit more shadow save there. You've got quite a few more pixels in detail to work with that you really just don't in the iPhone 11. As well here, you can see even just this bokeh. If you look at some of that, those are nice, perfectly circled or pretty close to perfectly circled. And if you go here and compare that, I mean, that one's okay. I don't know what's going on here with this. You can definitely tell a huge difference, and this is one of those things that the average eye may not notice, but if you've done photography enough, you'll probably notice that. But I mean, even look at this. This is with the iPhone, and then comparing it back over to the 5D4 shots, that's not that bad. The highlights and shadows are fairly similar. It's pretty close. This one was taken with the night mode feature, and let me just reset it here so you guys can see. I just really don't like the way that looks. I don't know why. It's just like, it's trying to expose for all of these darker areas as well as like expose perfectly for the brighter areas. So you get like a really flat image across like the histogram of highlights and shadows. But I don't know, trying to edit it, just, it's like I almost want more of that contrast. It might be something that I just need to mess around with a bit more, but I'm just not a huge fan of it. So, what are my final thoughts? I'm actually kind of impressed with the iPhone 11 Pro Max. The one thing I wouldn't use it for is if I was doing a professional shoot. So, let's say like Jaguar USA asked me to do a shoot for them. I wouldn't show up with an iPhone Pro 11 Max to take photos of like a F-type or something. For any type of product shoots, I would 100% bring my DSLR. This iPhone camera is a great camera to have just in your pocket. It's got that wide lens. It still has great resolution, great color depth, not the best shadow save, but it's still something that I would actually almost post. I'd be like 95% okay with posting something like this to Instagram. So there you go. That's my comparison between the iPhone 11 Pro Max and my Canon 5D Mark IV. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to give it a big fat like because that would be amazing. I would love to hear your guys' feedback on this video in the comments below. So type something nice and sweet for me, and you should subscribe to my channel because I'm going to be putting out a lot more videos. I'm being pretty consistent so far, so until then, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.